All right, let's jump straight into this explainer. Today, we're diving into a genuinely fascinating macroeconomic case study of a city that, quite honestly, completely defies all known laws of financial physics. We are talking about Kampala. You know, if the IMF or the Bank of Uganda actually wanted to understand how this economy really breathes, they'd need to burn their textbooks, ignore the GDP graphs, and just sit at a random pork joint in Kabalagala on a Tuesday afternoon. So we're going to break down exactly how this beautifully chaotic city operates.
Because here is the massive central paradox we're tackling today. How exactly does a city with allegedly zero money stay permanently fully booked? If you look at the internet, Kampala is always on the absolute verge of total economic collapse, right? Everyone is supposedly one bad day away from packing up a single mattress and trekking right back to the village. And yet, on a Friday night at 11:30 p.m., just try finding a parking space near any popular bala in Nikawa, Kololo, Bugalobi, or Kira Road. I mean, the traffic jam inside the bar's parking lot is literally worse than peak rush hour. So where's all this fuel money coming from? Let's figure it out.
All right, Section 1, the Kampala Financial Paradox. Okay, so every single morning, your timeline acts as this daily digital funeral committee. People are constantly typing stuff like Kampala is hard or money has completely refused, with a level of sorrow that honestly makes you want to reach out and offer your condolences. But here's where it gets funny. If you dare ask 10 of your closest friends for a quick $50K loan to fix your car, yeah, you're not getting cash. You're going to receive 9 voice notes that sound like they were recorded from inside a hospital ICU. They'll tell you wild stories about their goods being locked on the high seas, relatives getting struck by lightning, or, some highly specific banking app glitch. And that 10th friend, they'll just blue tick you, enter a digital witness protection program, and absolutely never view your WhatsApp status again. Yet these are the exact same people buying massive platters of pork by the weekend.
Which brings us to Section 2, Community Celebration Expenses. See, in this city, being broke is a personal problem. But celebrating, that is a community project. Take a normal, entry-level corporate couple. Let's call them Brian and Sharon. Now, their combined savings probably can't even buy a decent sofa set. But the very second they decide to get married, they form a WhatsApp group and boom! An 80 million shilling budget just magically appears out of thin air. People who swear they haven't eaten a proper meal since Tuesday are suddenly forced to attend these weekly physical meetings, sip on expensive tea, and pledge $500K each, mostly just to avoid being labeled a witch by the family. They buy a wedding cake the size of a water tank, go all out, and then wake up on Monday morning with absolute zero on their mobile money balance, genuinely wondering how they're going to afford charcoal.
And this paradox gets even crazier when you look at funerals. If you think the weddings are expensive, funerals in Kampala have basically morphed into high-budget Hollywood productions. The moment a relative passes away, the budget expands like yeast in warm water. Relatives who couldn't contribute a single shilling for the deceased's medical bills suddenly crown themselves VIP chairman of the burial committee. They mandate high-tech PA systems, 5 giant tents, city caterers cooking out in the village, and a custom gold-handled casket. You'll see this massive 30-car convoy of Subarus and Harriers burning fuel like it's water all the way to Badaka or Masaka. It's staggering, really. We literally can't afford healthcare while alive, but we will easily drop millions to travel to the grave in absolute luxury, only to end up fighting over stolen chicken at the evaluation meeting.
Moving right along, Section 3, Spiritual and Status Levies. The relationship between the economy and spiritual life here deserves its own entire PhD study. Take the concept of the prophetic seed. On Sunday mornings, the exact same people who spent all week dodging their landlords will drive cars running purely on fumes to go see celebrity pastors. And these pastors are standing on stages lit up like a Beyoncé concert, wearing designer suits that definitely cost way more than university tuition. They'll look at this heavily indebted congregation and tell them, hey, your business is failing because your tithe lacks spiritual weight. Then they demand a 500,000 shilling prophetic seed. And because we just love shortcuts, heavily indebted parents will actually drop their last savings in the basket. They walk out completely empty-handed but smiling, 100% convinced a miracle is loading on their MTN mobile money by Monday afternoon.
And if it isn't the church getting you, it's the endless fundraiser loop. Kampala practically runs on fundraisers. If it's not an introduction ceremony, it's a medical car wash. If it's not a car wash, it's an alumni reunion trying to raise funds to paint a staff room that hasn't been touched since 1970. This city has developed a complete and total cultural immunity to financial shame. I mean, an old classmate from a 2012 geography trip will just pop up out of nowhere. No, hey, how are you doing? Just a digital begging bowl in the shape of a mobile money flyer.
But then, we have the ultimate biannual psychological warfare, school fees season. Honestly, a standard kindergarten circular from Sunday or Gayaza looks like a national budget proposal. The tuition alone requires selling a kidney, but the requirements section? That is pure comedy. Parents are straight up ordered to bring enough heavy-duty toilet paper to wipe an army battalion for 3 years, plus high-quality brooms, reams of paper, squeegees, and sugar. On reporting day, you literally have parents with master's degrees carrying bundles of local brooms on their corporate shoulders. We curse these extortionist cartels all month, but come opening day, the traffic jam of premium fuel guzzlers at the school gates is insane. Why? Because paying for these expensive schools is really about 70% education and a solid 30% about asserting your status in the estate.
All right, let's get into Section 4, Corporate versus Downtown Wealth.
This dynamic is fascinating. On one side, you have the corporate elite hanging around Acacia Towers or Kololo. You know the type. They've got the polished English accents, lanyard badges hanging around their necks like Olympic medals, and they'll easily drop $40K a day on iced lattes. But the kicker? Their net salary can barely afford a modern car tire. They live in a state of permanent, highly sophisticated debt. But on the flip side, look at the trader downtown in Kakubo. He's rocking a dusty t-shirt, sandals literally carved out of old car tires, and speaking broken English. Visually, the guy looks like he needs a charity donation. But financially, that man is handling enough pure cash transactions in a single day to clear the national debt of Malawi by lunchtime.
And it is hilarious how these two worlds interact. It's what we call the corporate vocabulary cover-up. The corporate guy will use massive, intimidating words like synergy, market penetration, or liquidity constraints, mostly just to explain why he absolutely cannot buy a round of drinks tonight. Meanwhile, that dusty Kukuro trader, he doesn't need big words. He is just quietly buying his 4th plot of land in Mukono and paying for the whole shebang entirely with cash carried in a black polythene bag.
And finally, Section 5, the economics of survival.
So how does this all actually work? First rule, absolutely no sane person in Kampala lives on a salary alone. A salary in this city is essentially a myth. It's just a formal cover story to justify waking up at 5:30 a.m. and sitting in bumper-to-bumper traffic. The real economy runs entirely on chaotic side deals. You'll have a formal HR manager who by 2 p.m. is secretly using the office desktop to broker a land deal in Gayaza for a plot they've never even seen in person. Or maybe they're quietly importing secondhand Dubai iPhones through a cousin's friend. Literally everyone has a side hustle that requires them to step out of the office and whisper intensely into their phone. If your side deal doesn't make you look at least a little bit like a fugitive, you just aren't doing Kampala right.
Second rule, you cannot kill yourself. Kampala brokenness is deeply emotional, and it is highly specific. It's rarely a complete lack of money, it's more like a tactical reallocation of funds. A tenant will look their landlord dead in the eye and deliver this moving, 45-minute speech about global supply chain disruptions and the harsh post-election economy. They will bring the landlord to near tears just to dodge the rent. And yet, that exact same tenant will magically find $250K that very evening for a VIP ticket to an all-white party. Why? Because in Kampala, financial discipline is practically viewed as a spiritual attack. Rent can wait, but a good time, that is an absolute emergency. Third rule, the rotating debt ecosystem. Listen, money in Kampala never actually disappears, it just moves between Airtel and MTN mobile money accounts at the speed of light. Here's how it works. Step 1, you borrow $100K from Peter to pay Paul. Step 2, you form a vague joint venture with John, basically just to distract and confuse Peter for at least 2 weeks. Step 3, you get a small commission from some random side deal car sale, use it to pay Peter half of his money back, all while simultaneously borrowing $200K from James. It is a beautiful, deeply fragile ecosystem of financial gymnastics. Everyone owes someone. And as long as nobody demands their money at the exact same time, the entire city just keeps gliding forward smoothly.
Ultimately, living in Kampala is like dating a toxic ex-partner you simply refuse to leave. The city constantly squeezes you. It feeds you dust, traps you in 2-hour traffic jams over crater-sized potholes, and cuts the power right in the middle of a crucial football match. You'll be sitting there in the dark, utterly defeated, staring at your last 5,000 shillings, totally ready to pack up for the village. But then, a friend calls. They've got 2 mutual bottles waiting on their table. You catch a whiff of a roasting roadside Rolex, and you just instantly forgive the city. You wipe the dust right off your shoes and step back into the chaos.
Which brings us to a really crucial thought. Between the corporate salary wrappers, the elaborate wedding committees, the school requirement drama, or the celebrity pastors, it's a totally wild ecosystem, and we are all playing our part in it. And hey, if the Kampala squeeze is currently showing you flames, remember the golden rule. You cannot kill yourself. Sometimes you just need to step away. Go hide out and plan your next chaotic side deal at Kalyana Hotel. You can look down at the city's madness from their stunning 9th floor rooftop and let their world-class spa literally massage the poverty right out of your bones. Because in Kampala, survival is an absolute art form. So as you sit by the pool avoiding your landlord, I want you to ask yourself, which financial scam is draining your wallet the most right now? Keep hustling, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.